So before we begin with our official welcomes, we will begin, as always, with the national anthem, which will be led this year by Hattie and Avery Simon, Gavriel Sarit, and Rami Lappin. Thank you very much. So to officially begin tonight's program, please welcome the man who puts in countless hours behind the scenes, our shul president, Daniel Veit.
Good evening, everyone. It's a lot easier with the mic. Everyone having a good time? It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to the Bait's 44th Annual Journal Dinner. I'd just like to acknowledge a few of the rabbinic and community leaders who are with us or have been with us tonight. Rabbi Frank from Kinneret, Rabbi Hartstark, who is here from SAR, Rabbi Hain, I believe, from YIOZ is here. We have Rabbi Shem Tov from Chabad, and Rabbi Krause from really all that is good. We are honoring an exceptional group of individuals tonight. You'll be hearing a lot more about them from other people during the course of the evening. For now, let me just say that this place works when people participate, they lead, they question, they suggest, they provide feedback, they volunteer. And the honorees tonight, Lorna and Mark, Barry and Samantha and Daniel, are all terrific examples of what makes the Bait the place that it is. Thank you. Thank you for all that you do. And just as one example, you should all be aware, when I showed up here today at 4:15, Barry was here setting up the AV for the dinner at which he's being honored. Now, I like to think of the Bait as a place where we are all encouraged and challenged to be our best selves. A place where we are supported in opportunities to grow in spirituality, social activism, Torah study, religious practice, knowledge of and caring for Israel, chesed, and on and on and on. There are three groups of people who are really most responsible for creating that type of environment and what we all benefit from. I'd like to thank each of those groups in succession. First, of course, our fantastic rabbinic team, led by our senior rabbi, Rav Stephen, with our rabbi in residence, Rav Avi, and Rabbi Anat, Rav Ezra, Rabbi Sarah, and Rav Dan. Words cannot express what we owe you. I'd also like to thank the second group of people, which is our fantastic administrative team. Phyllis, Yael, Shuli, and Ariel, led so fantastically by Richard. You know, it's great to have such a team, a group of people who do great work, not just because they are consummate professionals, but because they deeply believe in and care for this place. And it's an unbelievable thing to see what you do for tonight's event and really all year round. Thank you. And of course, the third group is Brian and his facilities team, particularly Elmer, Eric, and Gio. You know, thank God, we are a very, very busy shul. And nothing, in terms of what we do here, as busy as we are, would ever get done without them. So thank you for all you do. This dinner is really so much about those three groups of people. So over the course of the night, when you see them, please thank them. We can't thank them often enough. I also want to thank the whole dinner committee for all the great work, the planning, the coordinating, the calling. And of course, I must mention three people in particular: Shifra Landown, our dinner chair; Seth Aronson, our program chair; and Ben Weiss, our journal chair. This is your first dinner. It is not an easy job, and you absolutely crushed it. Thank you. And finally, thanks to all of you. We are approximately 400 strong here tonight. We've been able to raise approximately $200,000 for the Bayit. This Bayit is only what its members, what all of us in this room, make it. And we have shown over time, we've shown in the past, that we can do great and groundbreaking things. So let's keep on doing that. Have a really good night, have a great evening. And now we'll turn this over to Seth and Shifra and Ben. Thank you.
So we would like to welcome you all to the 44th Annual Bayit Dinner. As you've heard, there are many people to thank for making this evening possible. They're listed in your program, and we encourage you to read through to see everyone who contributes. But we will single out a few here. Daniel Feit, our president. Tara Gorseman and Brian Spearer, who single-handedly did the job of three of us for so many years and provided us with invaluable guidance. Uncle Dave Bronstein, who gives and helps so freely. Our invaluable operations and maintenance staff led by Brian, who do so much every day to make the programs run. And Achron Chaviv, Richard Langer, and the administration staff, without whom this Bayit that we love would not run. In the discussion of the building of the Mishkan, the question that many commentators deal with is an obvious one. Why does God need a space to be? If God is everywhere, how can the divine be contained in a space? And why should God require such a place to begin with? Why build a sanctuary? The Torah T'mima suggests that God wanted the people of Israel to be involved in the building of the Mishkan for their own sake. So, in the Torah T'mima's words, Shetiyeh chaviva alav avodat pe'ulatam, so that the day-to-day work of building the Mishkan itself should be dear to them and make them stakeholders in this endeavor, and this ultimately is what leads to the Shekhinah dwelling bitocham, in the midst of the people. So this, we believe, is what we all try to do here. It is an overarching goal and mission of the Bayit, and what makes the Bayit so special, and why we are here out of love, mitoch chiba. Even when, and I think I can speak for the three of us, it felt like herding cats, many cats, but the three of us were always guided mitoch chiba, out of love. And so with that, we turn to our honorees who do so much for us out of love. Thank you.
We're delighted to invite Rabba Anat up to present our Young Leadership Award.
Akiva, Tehila, and Lilia Wiener are so blessed to be raised by this special couple, Samantha and Daniel, as their parents. For you, a family is a value. You are taking care of your children's needs with so much patience, peace of mind, and in a thoughtful and planned way. And as a parent, I know how hard it is with 3 little ones. Samantha, back when you were our neighbors, to see you going out with a kid in a stroller, a dog, and another baby in a sling was a daily scene. And to see you, Daniel, coming with Akiva and Tehila, whenever the weather permits, to talk Shabbat from North Riverdale and actively participate, this is dedication. This is the understanding of the big role of being loving parents. You are involved in the youth department not only through your care of your own children, but also as doers and helpers for the many other parents and children. With your hands full, you, Samantha and Daniel, are still able to be on the executive committee, to be involved with Chesed in the shul, and share your expertise in real estate for the benefit of the shul, of the Beit. You two literally extended the meaning of the word Beit. You are as responsible and dedicated to the Beit as you are responsible and dedicated to your own family and home. But for you, it does not stop there. You also care for the environment as well as for spiritual and physical health. You shop for some of your vegetables in the Ayelet and Jonathan Wiener market, and you support other local farms by participating in the CSA communal share, and you also find time for yoga, swimming, and training. Ariel and I always love to see you folks in the gym. You really inspire us. When I think of you, Samantha and Daniel, the first word that comes to my mind is Hineni. The Rav Kook's first seif in Anava, in Midot HaReiyah, writes, Hineni hu leshon anava uzrizut, ki ha'anav hu zariz. Hineni, here I am, is a language of humility and agility, because the humble is agile. You, Samantha and Daniel, have that quality of Hineni. You are there when you are needed, and not with a big noise, but an agile, humble way. This is a real Hineni. This is the anava and the zrizut that you both demonstrate to us. So now, we all have a sense of how lucky Akiva, Tehila, and Lilia are to have Samantha and Daniel as their parents, and how lucky we are to have you, Samantha and Daniel, as our role models. It is my distinct pleasure to call you up today to accept this well-deserved award, one that portrays you as models of both Zrizut and Anava, of being at Hineni state. You are well-deserved of this honor of the Young Leadership Award. You are true leaders. Mazal Tov, Daniel and Samantha. בני ביתך כבתחילה, וכונן מקדשך על מכונו. Samantha and Daniel Wiener, Young Leadership Award, Hebrew Institute of Riverdale, The Beit, 44th Annual Journal Dinner.
Wait, one more. Sure.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Anat, for that wonderful introduction. Daniel and I are honored and thankful to be here. We would like to thank Shifra Landau, Seth Aronson, and Ben Weiss for their excellent efforts in organizing tonight's dinner. We would also like to congratulate Lorna and Mark Baker and Barry Bender and are honored to share this evening with you. This Bayit was a big reason Daniel and I decided to make our Bayit in this community. Our Bayit is an extension of this Bayit, and our children, Akiva, Tehila, and Lilia, are growing up in this collective Bayit together with all of you amazing people. This Bayit is the warm and giving place that it is because of our leader, Rav Stephen's motto, like Rav Avi's motto before him, has always been to do, and they've always led by example. One thing that my children have taught me is that time is not neutral. It's a journey of progression and regression where they need constant, loving, and positive leadership to help guide them. Daniel and I would like to take this opportunity to continue taking baby steps alongside our leader's example of living Torah so that we can better lead our children by example. Thank you, and we hope you enjoy your evening.
Now, it is, as always, a deep personal pleasure to welcome the man who takes us all to the Shamayim with his tefillot, Eli Kranzler, with a Riverdale premiere of a new nigun.
Mazel tov, mazel tov. Good evening, everyone. Samantha and Daniel, yesher koach to you for all that you do, for the young families, for the children in our shul, for the whole community. Thank you. And Barry, a very special thank you for not only the sweets, not only the books, but the sound, what you do in the shul for every event, for the mics, for me personally to record slichot every year. I'm so grateful for the generosity that you show. And Mark and Lorna, mazel tov to you. Mark, I cherish our friendship, and I cherish the socks you gave me. And from the socks to the ties, from the plaid to the pinstripes, you bring color and light into our midst. Thank you. So we want to introduce a song together. There's a remarkable movement going on in Israel that's on fire. It's called Kul Ulam. Kul Ulam is a play on words. The word kul in English, kulam, everyone, kol, voice, and kululu, which is the ululu sound that Sephardic people make at simchas and other moments. This is a movement that is a series of mass singing events started by 3 young people whose idea it was to bring people all over Israel together to join forces in song. People from different backgrounds, from different political points of view, from different religious places, to come together to sing. And if you go on YouTube, you can look for Kululam, and there are multiple events that have been recorded where a song is taught to hundreds, if not and thousands of people, and then videoed and sent around the world. And the impact is unbelievable. So tonight, we want to share with you a beginning, like a seed, a garin, a beginning seed of a movement that starts here in one small community with a song that I hope will catch on with you tonight, that you will learn together with us. Please listen carefully. The words will be in front of you. And learn it. Let's sing together in joy with one voice. And then, please God, at Slichot, we'll be able to teach it to an even larger group, and then we'll be able to send it out into the world. Kululam. The words are, Ra'u banim et gvurato, shibchu v'hodu lishmo, u'machuto beratzon kiblu aleihem Moshe v'nei Yisrael lecha'anu shira, b'simcha rabba v'yamru kulam. When Bnei Yisrael was crossing the Red Sea, the Yam Suf, and God divided it, and we survived the chase of the pursuing Egyptians, we sang to God. Seeing God's might and glory, we gave praise and thanks and accepted God's sovereignty. And Moshe and the children of Israel sang with great joy and exclaimed, Mi kamocha ba'elim Hashem, mi kamocha neder ba'kodesh, nura tehilot osefela. Who is like you, O Lord Almighty? Who is majestic in holiness, awesome in praise and wonders? Please listen, learn, and join.
In order to introduce Barry Bender, who, or as my son calls him, Mr. Bender, who really needs no introduction, I thought we could talk about the Torah of Dov, the Torah of the bear. Now, those of you who know Tanakh know that the dove, the bear, isn't really the most positive creature. So we're going to skip Tanakh references, and we're going to go straight to bear references. So before I even came to this shul, I had heard of Barry Bender because I had some friends who had attended this famed retreat. It was this retreat for, I think it was for kids in Winnipeg, but it was mostly for my peers to practice their leadership skills. But really, Barry Bender had organized a trip for decades now of teens from the tri-state area out to Winnipeg to help build Jewish identity there. And for most of us in the shul who really see Barry Bender and his shul persona, we rarely get to see him in his educator persona, in his organizer persona, and it's really it's a special testament to you that this reputation even precedes you as the Lollipop Man. So, the first Torah of the bear is the gummy bear. And the gummy bear is that Barry gives out lollipops, as you know. But one thing that Barry does that's unique amongst the cohort and cadre of lollipop men that we have in our shul is that he also gives out raisins. He gives out little boxes of raisins for both kids who are too little to have lollipops and for kids whose parents don't want them to have lollipops. And that's how he goes the extra mile. The second is the Torah of Smokey the bear. Barry as the safety bear. Barry as the one who stands out as part of the CSS, as part of our community safety corps, who stands out and keeps our shul safe. The next Torah of the bear is that Barry helps make all of our programs bearable. Bearable in terms of the audio and the visual quality. And in this Torah of going the extra mile, Barry doesn't just show up when the program starts to get everything set up. He's there a half hour before, an hour before. I had taken a video clip which didn't make it onto the presentation, but it's Barry tonight helping set up the AV equipment for the party that's for him. The next one is Barry as the teddy bear. And this is Barry as the teddy bear, both of his parents, of his family, who's been given so much warmth and love, and also who gives out so much warmth and love to everybody around him and to the kids of our shul. Thank you. And finally, I want to say that it's Barry as the polar bear. The polar bear who helps defend our shul, who is a strong presence in our shul, who's there in the corner watching out for everybody who's here, who's a model of chesed, and who, when he requires raisins, he doesn't get the little box, but he gets the polar bear size package of raisins. And without further ado, I want to call up Barry Bender to present him his award. Barry Bender, Community Service Award, Hebrew Institute of Riverdale, the Bayit, 44th Annual Journal Dinner, June 3rd, 2018, 20th of Sivan, 5778.
Thank you, thank you. What's up, Jews? That's my greetings when I'm in front of a group of people that I care very much. Most of the time it's in this lodge in the middle of Winnipeg, actually in the middle of Manitoba when it's 40 below, but it applies here to all of you. First of all, I have a surprise for you. I'm not really being honored tonight, but CSS has been looking for a way of having a surprise lockdown drill. So everybody on this side, please move over to this side. Just kidding. I do have a community service announcement. This is for Rav Avi. And if you can relate to this, just applaud after the community service announcement. Rav Avi, heavens will not explode, the earth will not open up and swallow us, worlds will not collide if once in a while we finish davening on Shabbos before 11 a.m. My grandnephew Eliyahu wanted to be here tonight. He's outshining his uncle by actually being honored by the president with the Community Service Award. Oh, wait a minute. He's being honored by the president of Israel with the Community Service Award, so it's okay to clap here now. For those who don't understand that joke, you're probably not part of the Bayit, but just a visitor. So, first of all, I'd like to wish my fellow honorees a big Mazal Tov. It's an honor to be included with all of you here. They gave me 5 minutes to speak, which those who know me best know that as being impossible. I wrote everything down, and I didn't time it, but I think I will be okay. The good thing going for me is Mark has to speak, and there's no way a defense attorney of his level can do a summation in under 5 minutes. So I think I'm in good company. Thank you for bestowing this honor on me. There are two things that struck me as I was pondering accepting this honor. The first is that receiving an honor for community service by this community is akin to receiving the Keeping the Shabbos or Keeping Kosher Award in other communities. Everybody here does it. It's as much as being part of our religious view as anything else, maybe even more. So I thought, why me? The other thing I thought about is the unfair advantage that I have over many of you. As a single person without any kids, of course I have more time to give. It's easier for me to step up and offer my services because I have fewer responsibilities that may otherwise occupy my time. But the reason why I did agree, and I'm standing before you now, is a simple one. The rabbi asked me to. I had the lucky privilege of growing up in a shul not very far from here that has long been gone, but whose values have lived on in its congregants. The Kingsbridge Heights Jewish Center was not your typical Orthodox Bronx shul, but it was atypical in terms of its congregants, some of who are here with us tonight. I'm blessed to have people that I grew up with, that I know since I'm 6 years old, who are here. It was always an honor to be asked to do something by the rabbi. If the rabbi asked you to take out his garbage, not only would you do it, but you'd be so proud that out of all the people in the shul that he could have asked to do it, he picked you. So, Rav Stephen, you already had me at will you. You didn't have to finish the sentence. Also, knowing that this comes from all of you is extremely touching to me. I'm deeply humbled at the outpouring of love that I received from you, and thank you. I want to share with you my personal connection with doing chesed, which is what community service is to me. I've been blessed with the best role models I could possibly have. My parents didn't preach to me about the importance of doing good for others. They just led by example. I would watch them without hesitation, offering help to even total strangers without ever patting themselves on the back for what they did. Doing good for others was as natural as breathing. I was blessed to have Rebbeim also that exemplified chesed and saw it as a very important thing to ingrain in their students. I remember Rabbi Moshe Tendler sharing with us an idea of his father-in-law, Rav Moshe Feinstein Zatzal. Rav Moshe felt that since in America the adage of time is money was seen as very real, not only did one have to give tzedakah 10% of their income, but also they should give 10% of their time. The giving of your time to someone or some cause has such a different, profound effect than just writing a check. The human element involved not only benefits the person you're helping, but also transforms you. For me, one of the most personally impactful parts of the Torah is Parshat Kedoshim. We can sometimes feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of mitzvot that appear in the Torah, yet Kedoshim is very simple. Hashem tells us to be holy because Hashem is holy. While the word holy may seem vague, it's something that I think we can all define for ourselves in a pretty personal and accurate way. It's much different than knowing right from wrong. It's something more than that. I always thought it peculiar that we are told, V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself, and tzedek tzedek tirdof, justice justice shall you pursue. Why kamocha? Why as yourself when it could have easily just said love your neighbor? And why say justice twice? In the last few years, I believe I've started to understand this more clearly. It can become very easy to challenge other people, their worldview, their politics, their compassion, or lack thereof. I think that kamocha in the second justice refers to the standards that we use. Challenge your neighbor when you feel necessary, but challenge them with the same standards you use on yourself or on your own side, kamocha. When it says justice twice, one is the focus of your challenge, but one is also for yourself. Make sure that the standard of justice you use on your neighbor is the same one you use on yourself. I've come to realize that listening to someone and hearing them is an important form of chesed. Someone commented to me that we used to listen to understand, now we just listen to respond. For me, chesed begins with listening. When I listen to someone, I hear who they are. I hear their needs, and I let them in. In order to let them in, I need to make space for them. That space is acknowledging their value. Once I acknowledge their value, being there for them is easy. Once I'm there for them, loving them is a natural outgrowth. Loving someone, especially when they're different, is not easy. That's why I think the word tirdof, pursue, is used, especially when referring to tzedek. Tirdof is a word of action, of strong action. It's by no means passive. Maybe we need such a strong word because the task isn't an easy one. We often hear the word tzaddik used in relation to exceptional people. I'd like to offer that a tzaddik is someone that mastered tzedek. I salute the many that are in this room that fit that bill, that constantly inspire us to be more than we are. I feel that I don't do chesed because of the person I am, but rather I'm the person I am because of doing the chesed that transformed me. It's a reminder of what's really important in life. It also has a way of anchoring you to reality. As some of you may know, or if you didn't know, I'm sure you realize by now, I'm one of the lollipop people in the shul. A role that I inherited from my father and one that I absolutely cherish for moments like the one I'm about to share with you. On the way home one recent Shabbat night, I passed 3 young girls, probably about 4 or 5, who got very excited when they recognized me. They didn't recognize Barry, they recognized the Lollipop Man. They asked me if they could have some lollipops. I explained to them that I was all out and forgot to refill my stock. They looked at me very seriously and said, "But you're the Lollipop Man. That's your job." I said, "I know, I'm sorry, I'll make sure I get more." As we continued to walk, they must have sensed my feeling that I let them down. They then said, "By the way, we like your haircut." After thanking them, I remembered what this is all about, making people smile. So I want to throw out a challenge to all of you. A lot has been said about what I do for the Bayit, and the truth is, I do what everybody said I do for the Bayit, but everybody at the Bayit does what they do for the Bayit. So I'm throwing out a challenge to all of you that from this coming Rosh Hashanah, I'll give you the summer off, from this coming Rosh Hashanah to a year from Rosh Hashanah, everyone here commit themselves to 5 hours of community service. Well, being that Mark's a defense attorney, we won't use being committed to community service, but I'll phrase it as take the pledge to do 5 hours of chesed. If you're not from this community, whatever community you belong to. If you are from this community, however you want to contribute it. But do 5 hours of chesed. Why? Because you'll understand, if you haven't yet, what this does to you in terms of transforming you as a human being and basically, for me, bringing you closer to God. So thank you again for this honor. I hope you have the zchut in getting as much personal fulfillment and joy in serving this community as I have. Thank you so much.
Rabbi Sarah and Rab Dan to lead us in a tefillah on behalf of the Bayit.
There's no doubt that the theme of tonight's dinner is the sweetness of lollipops. And I just wanted to take this opportunity on our behalf just to offer my own gratitude and mazal tov for all our honorees have done in service of our Bayit. I don't know if many of you know that Mark was identified as a Lollipop Man by my son, and so I'm sorry about that, Mark. But the other thing that you might know is that Mark judges our drashot by how quickly it takes him to finish a lollipop. If he's finished his lollipop and we're still talking, there's a problem. And Barry, we've heard how he's not just a lollipop man, but he's a lollipop man of Masorah, of passing down what his father brought to our shul, and how we miss him, and how he continues to bring sweetness to our children every Shabbat. And Samantha and Daniel, I don't know if you give out lollipops to your children or to other members of our Bayit, but you have such sweetness that I see over and over again in our shul, and thank you so much for all you all bring and will continue to do, and just continued brachot. And with that, we want to offer this bracha on behalf of the whole kihila.
משברך אבותינו אברהם יצחק ויעקב ואימותינו שרה רבקה רחל ולאה ויברך את הקהל הקדוש הזה ואת רבניה מנהיגיה תורמיה ועובדיה חזק את קהילתנו באמונתנו ופעולותינו בתורה ובמצוות ובאהבת השם ויראת שמיים ושלח ברכה בכל מעשה ידינו ותזכנו כולנו להקדיש שמך בצדק בחסד ובמשפט. אב הרחמן, ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו, פרוס עליה סוכת שלומך, כמו שנאמר בתפילותינו, ברכנו אבינו כולנו כאחד באור פניך, וצדקה וברכה ורחמים וחיים ושלום יהיה לנו, ולכל ישראל עד העולם, Baruch atah hamivarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom.
O God, who blessed our patriarchs Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and our matriarchs Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, please bless the sacred congregation. Bless its spiritual leaders, its professional and lay leaders, all its givers and donors, and all who work for its well-being. Strengthen this, our Bayit community. Strengthen our faith and belief. Strengthen our work in Torah and mitzvot, our love of God and our reverence of heaven. Shower blessing on all our deeds and help us merit opportunities to sanctify your name through righteousness, loving kindness, and justice. Compassionate Father, bless the state of Israel, the first flowering of our redemption. Spread over Israel your sheltering cover of peace. As we pray, bless us, our Father, all together as one with the light of your face, and may righteousness, blessing, compassion, life, and peace be ours and all of Israel's now and forever. Blessed are you who bless your people, Israel, with peace.
Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi Sarah and Rav Dan. Now I would like to call on Rav Stephen and Rav Avi to present the next report.
To Toby and Ravavi, to each and every one of you, thank you for the daily honor of being your partner in a 50-year-old dream unfolding every day, to live out the words emblazoned over the entrance to this bayit, to this space. Asot mishpat, to do justly, ahavat chesed, to love kindness, vatzne alechet im Elokecha, and to modestly walk with our God. Before we present, I wanted to make two personal notes of goodbye and welcome. On behalf of all of us, to turn to David Fain and Shosh, our outgoing youth director, and your family, to express our inexpressible gratitude for 4 years of incredible service, building, expanding, growing, soaring our youth department, our families, and our bayit. As you journey to Detroit, you go with all our love and gratitude. Please rise for a moment so we can offer you our hakarat tov. There aren't a lot of David Fains out there, so as our youth committee search is well underway, send us anyone who could be a David. And second, our bayit welcomes Arona Biro, our new bayit social worker, who's already begun to serve with compassion and caring, helping us access all the resources to serve each other and to help especially the neediest and most vulnerable. Her information is in the shul bulletin. We're so happy that she and her husband Moshe are here. Arona, please stand up so we can thank you and welcome you. Closing arguments. In the case of Bayit v. Baker, the defendants, Lorna and Mark Baker, are being charged by the Bayit of leadership in the first degree, carrying a sentence of being guests of honor at the annual dinner of the plaintiff, the Bayit.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have witnessed over the last decades countless acts of leadership.
Regular attendance at prayer services, indeed, with that soulful voice leading those prayer services, including arriving at 8:05 a.m. for an 8:30 a.m. service and pardoning the tardiness of the teacher who arrives at 8:10. Every week.
Legal advice and protection of various clergy. Okay, well, one clergy. About whom, Mark, you once told New York Magazine, if my rabbi was a paying customer, I could build half my practice around him. Unquote. Legal advice for the synagogue as a whole, not to mention using legal expertise to craft successful and educational Bayit events, placing biblical characters on trial. Being there from the beginning of the boiler room of the Whitehall, Lechtech Acharai Bamidbar, and through the years, sweetening the lives of children, please admit Exhibit A.
A letter dated May 10th, 2018, addressed to Mark and Lorna Baker. Tootsie Roll Industries, LLC, Chicago, Illinois. Dear Mark and Lorna, we have been contacted by your synagogue. We spoke to Shuli and were informed that you will be among the honorees at this year's annual gala dinner. We were told that aside from being a very well-respected attorney, you, Mark, are also a candy man at the synagogue services on the Sabbath. It was stated that you hand out 75 to 100 Tootsie Pops weekly to the children in the congregation. While we hope the Tootsie Pops you hand out are enjoyed by all, we feel it is the personal connection you have with everyone that is truly appreciated by them. We extend our congratulations and send you our best wishes. Sincerely, Lola Walker, Consumer Relations, Tootsie Roll Industries, LLC, Exhibit A. Community service and chesed. From extraordinary counseling skills with your phone ringing off the hook, Lorna, to visiting the sick regularly, to creating community in so many ways behind closed doors. And yes, trying, albeit with futility, to single-handedly elevate the sartorial resplendence of our Bayit. Please admit your own wardrobe, Exhibit B.
Exhibit C.
As evidence.
Devoted to the mission of Yahadut, of Judaism, Vishamru derech Adonai la'asot tzedakah u'mishpat. To walk the journey with the Lord, to do righteousness and justice. This is Mark, using his legal genius to help the most vulnerable in our midst. Individuals sometimes erroneously, even shamefully found guilty when they're not guilty. And Mark fighting for their freedom, and on numerous occasions, walking them out of jail yourself. Vishamru derech Adonai lasot tzedakah u'mishpat. This is Lorna, helping countless many cope and overcome serious life challenges. And of course, devoted children, parents, and grandparents. We've cried and laughed together, mourned at each other's shivas, and danced at our families' weddings. You are, as they say in Israel, Achi, my brother.
In essence and in summary, your behaviors are modeled after the two teachings in the first chapter of Pirkei Avot upon which the world stands: Torah, Avodah, Ugmilut Chasadim, a love of Torah, service to synagogue, to a client base, to family, to community, an act of loving kindness, and its partner teaching, upon three things the world is sustained: Din, Emet, Vishalom, judgment and justice, truth and peace. On the merits of these arguments and their indubitable veracity, and upon the basis of impending applause, which will be counted as votes of guilty as charged, this bibunal hereby indicts Mark and Lorna Baker as guilty of first-degree leadership to this community, carrying the immediate awarding of the guests of honor at the Bayit 2018 dinner. Please rise and vote with your applause as the defendants approach the bench. This beautiful art reads, Emet umishpat shalom shiftu b'shareichem. Truth, justice, and peace may you judge and lead in your gates. Lorna and Mark Baker, guests of honor, Hebrew Institute of Riverdale, the Bayit, 44th Annual Journal Dinner, June 3rd, 2018, 20 Sivan, 5778.
I want to thank everyone who came out tonight and or put in journal ads to honor my husband, Mark M. Baker. As I stand here beside my man, I want to give him my part of the so-called joint honor, as I just really slid in on his coattails. Everyone knows that, but I will not accept that which I do not deserve. I am up here because Rav Stephen asked me if I would stand beside my man, and how can I say no to such a sweet and sincere Rav? Rav Stephen and Rav Avi have voices so soothing, and yet their messages, when you decode those sweet words, have powerful and true meanings. So as I stand beside my man, I want all of you to know that Mark is the true quintessential father, grandfather, sibling, son, and husband. He is the man who walks through life with me and is my best friend. He has a sweetness and sincerity that can calm and soothe me when I walk through my own personal storms. He can just hold me in his arms, and my worries and wounds begin to wane. I, like so many others, adore this man, and that is why I will hand this mic over to Mark. Because Mark informed me that his speech has to be no more than 10 minutes, and because time is of the essence, I'm going to give the mic over to the man who is being honored tonight. This is the same man to whom I refer to in all my anniversary cards, our anniversary cards, as my magical man.
I don't know who coordinated those outfits. But we're going to have some discussion after. A couple of things I need to clarify about the lollipops. Now, I started out years ago. I gave out Tootsie Roll Pops to the ultra cockers in the back row during the drusha. And as Rabbi Sarah said, I told Rav Ari, who was the first one to give a talk during this period, After he finished, I said, "You've got to make that 2 minutes longer." He said, "What? No one's ever asked me to talk longer before." I said, "You don't understand. We have to finish these pops before Musaf. So take this home, see how long it takes, and that'll be your drasha from now on." And now, Davidi, a lovely kid, most likely in his class to be incarcerated at a certain point in time, sees me giving these lollipops out. So he comes over and says, "Can I have one of those?" He's the first kid who's ever seen me give these out. I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll give you a lollipop, but you got to promise not to tell anybody where you got it from." Okay. So 20 minutes later, I see him hiding behind that column over there. He points to me, and maybe 30 kids descend upon me. And that was it. I was in it. But I'll tell you, it's not a great business model because it's all revenue, it's all overhead and no revenue. But where's Bender? He's a smart guy. I spent a fortune on Tootsie Roll lollipops. He comes up with these cheap, inferior products. And he's honored the same night. Come here. Talk to you and a start to a whole new you. Okay. Don't worry, I've gone through 3 drafts and I've got this down to 89 minutes, so it's all right. 44 years ago next month, as a then new resident of Riverdale, I needed to decide which shul to go to. So one week, after a few Shabbatot of wandering, I decided to try out, quote unquote, Avi Weiss's shul, which I had heard so much about. I had been cautioned, however, that Rabbi Weiss, as he was then known, presided over a fledgling congregation that had no real home of its own. I was told that most of its non-Shabbat services and programming were in the same boiler room, some boiler room in that big white apartment building on Henry Hudson Parkway. I gave it a shot. Lo and behold, on a Shabbat in the early summer of 1974, I found myself not in the boiler room at the Whitehall, but actually in the social hall on the ground floor with entrance on Independence Avenue. As I walked in on that decent-sized minion, I tried to find a seat on the bima where I might see what this already legendary Rabbi Weiss looked like. But alas, there was no such seat. There was also no bima, and there was no rabbi. So what kind of shul is this, I said to myself. They can't even give the rabbi a proper seat. So where was he? Much to my surprise, within moments I was approached by several individuals, one of whom I recall having been the late Stanley Langer of blessed memory, who immediately asked me, "What brought you to Riverdale?" As soon as I explained that I had just moved into the community, I was introduced to this young, dark-bearded rabbi named Avi Weiss, sitting humbly in the 4th or 5th row, whom, as a young assistant district attorney, I instantly recognized from photos I had seen in many precincts, one police plaza, and even FBI headquarters. He immediately gave me a huge bear hug and arranged for me to get an aliyah. An aliyah? Now here's a tip, and I'm going to digress for one moment. If you really want an aliyah in the HIR, and you're already an existing member and don't have a yard site and you're not getting married, don't despair. You have options. First one, you go away for 10 years and come back. The second one, you take off a week, 2 weeks later, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you tell Rav Steven you just came back from Israel. Third, you tell Rav Steven, God forbid, you've just been in an auto accident. Like an eagle, Hillel Jaffe, our Gabbai extraordinaire, a man I love and adore, will instantly descend upon you. There's 2 other options, by the way, but they're more difficult. You either reluctantly accept the request by Rav Stephen and President Feit that you be honored at the annual dinner, or the nuclear option. Because Hillel is as straight as an arrow, you convince Benzie to invite him and Maddie for a Shabbat in New Jersey. That's the hard part. The easy part is when Dave Braunstein takes over. He can be bought for no more than one lollipop. 2 if you want shlishi, and a haftorah will cost you an extra 3 lol. Where's David?
Here I am.
I owe you a second. I got shlishi yesterday. What? Well, to try to be serious for a few moments, that one Shabbat morning truly changed my life. I was led to believe that these wonderful, warm-hearted individuals had actually waited their entire lives for this moment to meet and greet me. I was instantly hooked on Rabbi Weiss, since reincarnated as Rav Avi, and his uplifting Dvar Torah, as I was on David Mann, Stanley Langer, and Herman Weisbraun, and many others of blessed memory who would join us in the years immediately following. And I soon developed treasured relationships with the likes of old-timers, some who came even later, and too numerous to mention for fear of leaving anyone out, but several of whom you'll see me sitting with each Shabbat in the back row. Many have been influenced by Rav Avi's high holiday service, his free holiday service, a good number of whom have either left our community or sadly have passed on. Bernie Glickman, Chaim Glippen quickly come to mind. Today, by the way, I ask we all keep Bernie's beloved Shirley in our hearts and prayers for a refuah shalema. And so, not only had I found a new home away from home, I'd actually found an extended family. We weren't called the Bayit then, but we certainly could have been, since as pioneers in this new experiment in open religiosity, we all became kindred spirits, sharing events, Simchot and Yom Tovim, as if we were all blood relatives coming home for Thanksgiving. We spent countless hours together on many a day at the Russian Mission on Moshe Avenue, where Rav Avi never failed to carve out an occasion or opportunity to demonstrate, or for a much longer time, to engage in hunger strikes in front of the Manhattan Soviet mission on behalf of Soviet Jewry. And of course, sitting huddled on Tisha B'Av in the boiler room, reading Eichu on the keynote, was quite an experiment in religious intimacy. Our mantra in those days was Israel, Torah, activism, the last of which often seemed to be predominant. In reality, it embodied the essence of every fiber of Rav Avi's being as a lover, spokesman, and protector of his people, not just in Riverdale, but in the world at large. Because I was a public servant in those early years, initially as an assistant district attorney in Brooklyn, Kings County, and thereafter as a special assistant attorney general in the office of the special state corruption prosecutor, there was not much I could do beyond merely giving moral and vocal support to his efforts. But then, in 1983, after 10 years as a prosecutor, I became a defense attorney. And boy, did I do unanticipated defending. It seemed like every week there was another court detention pen I had to run to after my beloved Rav would find himself in the custody of New York's finest. In January 1985, I even remember having to miss a huge press conference in the high-profile Bernard Goetz case that would ultimately consume 4 years of my life because I had to handle another arraignment in People versus Weiss. But at least I can proudly boast that all of Rav Avi's many arrests on my watch were dismissed and his record is sealed and clean. Later in the 70s, we moved into that old rundown house, which had originally occupied this 3700 Henry Hudson Parkway address. Regardless, the Bayit now had a home. That structure, since razed, was ultimately connected at the basement level under the then plaza when the smaller version of this beautiful sanctuary was first built, and which was ultimately expanded into the magnificent greater edifice of which we are all so proud today. Rav Avi's innovations and implementations in the Bayit over the many years that followed were legion. The ramps in the Bima, the equivalent men's and women's sections, the women's tefillah, the involvement of women in regular minyanim, the innovative programming for elderly shut-ins and the mentally challenged, the original Gan Miriam, named after Rav's mom of blessed memory, the Jewish Youth Encounter Program, where we brought unaffiliated kids into the Bayit, taught them the ways of Yiddishkeit, and ultimately they came on Shabbat and brought their parents in who had never been in a synagogue before. It was an amazing accomplishment. The communal seders, the Thanksgiving meals, the free services, the Yom HaShoah seders, and the annual Martin King concert, to name just a few, let alone his extracurricular founding of YCT and Yeshiva Ma'arat and myriad organizations. As we all know, in his golden years, Rav Avi, who alas has attained the exalted status of rabbi in occasional residence, has passed the torch. His most worthy heir, our own Rav Stephen, was enthusiastically approved a few years ago by the Bayit family as our senior rabbi. I hope you're not creasing those jackets, by the way. As we have all witnessed, in some ways, Rav Stephen, who has never passed an envelope he has not pushed off a table, makes Rav Avi look like a member of the Israeli chief rabbinate. Where Rav Avi gave us open orthodoxy, Rav Stephen has given us wide open orthodoxy. Beloved all by all, brilliant, eloquent, warm, devoted, passionate, affable, congenial, and now the proud owner of some rather fashionable shirts, socks, and ties. As I view Rav Stephen to be a work in progress. Rav Stephen has taken us to levels that Rav Avi used to fantasize about. Remember those kolot last Rosh Hashanah? Those were not male members practicing their falsetto. And these days, when we put the Torah back in the Aron, it's as if the Kohanim are duchenin, given how many males put their heads down or wrap their heads in their tallis. But alas, as my former client, John Gotti, he should rest in peace, used to say, "This is the life we have chosen." Rav Stephen was actually baptized in fire. During his first week here, 10 years ago, if memory serves me correctly, we had the misfortune of having 5 funerals in our Bayit family. Yet the Shiva families got to learn what true Menachem Ovel means in the person of this magnificent, scholarly, and warm-hearted man. And so this Bayit is today in tremendous hands, and with the passing of the torch to this new generation of Rabbanim, Rabbanot, and our tremendous office and maintenance staff, led by the indefatigable and indomitable Executive Director, Richard Langer, and Brian, with the maintenance staff. We Altas sitting in the back row, savoring our rather expensive Tootsie Roll Pops with our remaining teeth, are extraordinarily gratified that the direction of our beloved Bayit has passed to the most competent of hands, and God willing will undoubtedly enjoy a most enriching future. So led by our eminent president, that's Fight, not Trump, his executive committee and the board of which I still proudly remain a member, I have no doubt that our mission in bringing Klal Yisrael closer to its spiritual apogee will continue unabated. In closing, I want to just take one more moment to thoroughly embarrass my wonderful bride, Lorna, who I suggested remain in her seat rather than bask in the limelight which she so fervently eschews. But she promised Rav Stephen. Those of you who do not know this lovely, wise, and sensitive woman may think of her as quiet, serene, and immensely shy. Ha! You have not a clue. At the ripe old age of 47 in 1998, I must humbly note, with my ceaseless encouragement, Lorna embarked on attaining a career and went on to earn a master's degree in social work at Delphi University. Having thereafter won her certification and license, and after years of supervised practice for almost 15 years now, she has successfully counseled many a couple, along with numerous folks she has helped deal with substance and alcohol addictions and abuse. But because I cannot be truly objective, instead of my further extolling her, allow me to read a recent online review. After going through about 12 sessions with a therapist that took our insurance and seeing zero results, I decided to research other options. I came across Lorna and decided to give her a call. She was patient and knowledgeable right away during our free phone consultation. We then decided to meet with her. The results after just a few sessions were amazing in caps. She spent so much time with us and never charged us a penny more, where the other therapist would end the session the second 55 minutes hit. Lorna has made a world of a difference in our family. She even called multiple times afterwards to follow up and genuinely cared. I feel like I can tell her anything. All the reviews about her are true. She's that good. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, Lorna. You have changed our lives. That is the woman and my best friend whom I love and adore and has been my bride for 14 years. I thank again Rabbis Weist and Exler. I thank our rabbinical team, all the Klei Kodesh, including Bernie and Ellie, who continue uplifting us to newer heights, and I thank our utterly devoted lay leadership. I also thank, of course, Seth, Schiffer, Ben, and all the members of the dinner and journal committees who worked so tirelessly to hopefully make this evening a resounding success. I salute Barry Bender, my co-lollipop man, cheap and inferior as they are. Simply a sweetheart of a guy. To know him is to love him. Along with our most deserving co-honorees, Samantha and Daniel Weiner. Daniel, come here for 1 minute, please. I don't like what you're wearing either. And here's a lollipop. I pray that in some small way we have all helped the fruits of the committee's efforts exceed all your expectations. Last but not least, I thank you all for joining us and for being part of this magnificent Bayit community and extended family that I have loved and revered for 44 years. Thank you very much.
Okay, I know you're all thinking you're at the Oscars, but we really are coming towards the end of the program. Now for something completely different, a brief musical tribute to our honorees with many thanks to Sammy Davis Jr.
Who can take your children, pour them too much sugar, load them up with sugar till they're bouncing off the pews. The Candyman can. Who's at all our concerts, recording without fail, stands guards every week in all the hot and humid hail. The Bender Man, oh Barry Bender can. And he somehow found these mutant-sized huge marshmallows too. Can take defendants locked up in the can, while the judge will set them free and prove that he's the man. The Baker Man can. With Lorna he can, and he's even sprung Rav Avi. Dan Wiener makes every deal he takes lucrative and quite propitious, with Samatens touch about dishes, and they compost all their dishes.
with all these speeches, keeping us in our seats, droning on and on when all we wanna do is eat. When's candy time? It's candy time now.